I'm going to be spending the next 100 days on this one block in Minecraft. While I'm on this block, I risk falling into the void, being jumped by mobs, and even more threats. If you go on to enjoy this movie at any point, please consider subscribing and maybe leaving a comment. Now let's get straight into the movie. Now, believe it or not, day one starts with us on this one singular block, and yeah, there's absolutely nothing around us except for this block telling me to break it, and against my better judgment, I did. The block told me some basic info such as it'll regenerate, and it's infinite, yada yada, nobody really cares. But then eventually, it gave me enough wood and told me to enlarge my platform, so I did. It might not be the biggest upgrade ever, but at least I feel a little bit more safe now. I continued breaking the block until our first mob arrived. Hello, Mr. Pig, how are you doing? I sure hope he doesn't fall. I continued turning my wood into slabs to expand my island, and then the game warned me about not forgetting to put my items in chests in case I fell into the void. And that's when I had a realization, oh wait, I'm not playing in hardcore mode, so I got that all fixed up. I then decided I wanted a place to start a tree farm, so I started building up this little bridge, but don't expect much, okay? I really don't have much materials. After breaking the block a couple more times, the game gave me a water bucket so I could place blocks underneath the infinite blocks so gravel and other blocks like that wouldn't fall. I also decided to put what I'd like to call the oopsie platform underneath the one block just in case something bad were to happen and I were to possibly fall. With nighttime coming soon, I got this chest called the Benevolent Gift, and it had some wood and a torch. After breaking the chest, this nice little block upgrade appeared, and right after that, I was alerted that I was on to the first stage, the plains. I crafted myself up some fresh wooden tools and began breaking the block once again, until this time it spawned a pig, and that reminded me these guys need a place to stay. So I began building them a platform, but I'm not the smartest person, so it wasn't exactly perfect. Speaking of not perfect, I was completely out of wood, so I began breaking the block to hopefully get some more, and guess what this block did? It spawned animal after animal after animal. You see this look? This is the look of someone who's going insane. Day 2, I realized I wasn't going to have enough wood to fill up this entire platform, so I decided to use dirt instead. Don't judge me. Now was the part I'd been dreading, but luckily we had a volunteer that went in there. Thank you, Porky. I appreciate it. Unluckily for me, though, the other animals weren't as kind, so I had to spend the entire day just trying to push them in there. Some were easier than others were harder than others, but eventually I got them all in there. And the best part is, none of them fell into the void and they all actually survived. With the animals situated, I could move on to the fun part, climbing up the tree that's one block away from death. You know, it's kind of scary up here, because if these leaves decay, I'm going straight into that void. But it's okay, I managed to chop down the entire tree without falling. With the tree chopped down, I decided to go ahead and make myself a lot of fence gates, because due to contrary belief, my animals probably shouldn't be falling into the void. Once I was done with that, I realized it's a little bit dark and mobs could spawn, so I decided to throw a torch on that island and just kind of keep it safe overnight. I continued breaking the one block overnight and managed to unlock the second phase. We were now onto the underground. With the sun coming up on day 3, I was starting to get a lot of animals, and some of them were trying to jump off my island, so I guess I have to move my furnace now. Regardless of that though, I got to smelt up my first 2 iron and make myself up a shield. I didn't have quite enough iron to make it into tools, but I did make a bunch of cobblestone tools. Feeling confident, I started breaking the block once again, until I got a little bit of a jump scare. Luckily, I was prepared and on guard, otherwise this could have been a very unfortunate ending. But just like the work of a true police officer, I swept it under the rug and continued on with my day. My day was then interrupted several other times by many different mob groups until a creeper spawned in and kinda gave me a little bit of a fright. With the creeper slain, I decided to keep breaking the block until it gave me some birch, and I should mention, I've been burning all of the birch into charcoal, for no reason. I definitely don't hate birch, don't worry about it. I was just enjoying some late night mining when a visitor decided to show up, and again scared me. This time he almost blew up my chest and furnace, but hey, it's okay, I still took him out. I then definitely didn't spend about 2 minutes trying to figure out how to make a Minecraft circle. You know, don't check my browser history. For those interested in the circle building day, yeah, we're still doing it. This outline is almost complete. I'm just kind of making sure it's not wonky because, let's face it, I'm not good at building circles in Minecraft. Wait, that's supposed to line up. Even with an image, I still mess it up. How? Now, to say I underestimated the amount of wood I needed would be an understatement itself, because this thing required all of the wood I had saved up. I thought I'd still be able to keep a couple, you know, just for tools and supplies and such, but nope, it all went to filling in this platform. Just kidding, I actually had to chop down this tree to have enough wood to fill up this whole thing. But I will say it was 100% worth it, because now I could plant over 10 trees compared to just one. I went back to breaking the one block and managed to get myself some spruce saplings. This was amazing, because that's my favorite type of wood, no more birch. I then went to make myself some shears so I could start shearing my sheep so I can actually get a bed, you know, because I don't really want to not sleep during the night. And that's when I realized something. I got a grass block a couple days ago from a chest, and I think my sheep ate it, so yeah, we don't have any grass, and I don't know how to make that spread. Ignoring the problems for future me, I finally got to take my first good night's sleep. Day 5 started out with me doing some organizing because my inventory was an absolute mess. I then decided my island needed to be expanded a little bit because I feel like I don't have much area around this one block, so I did some modifications. I unfortunately started running a little low on some wood, so I chopped down this tree and began placing blocks once again. It was now almost nighttime, but my island was looking much better and definitely a little safer. Day 6 started out with me gathering some trees, and then I was back to mining the one block. I had a couple encounters with zombies, but I managed to take them out with no problem. I continued mining the one block and managed to find a spider friend. He wasn't mad at me because it was daytime, so I'm gonna name him Jerry. Me and Jerry are now best friends. I continued breaking the one block once more until the worst thing happened. A creeper had spawned. Jerry's life was in danger. I'm just kidding, I took out the creeper. It was okay. It was at this point where I started realizing I was getting a lot of iron, and you know what? I should probably make some armor. I can see how that would be beneficial to my health in this game, cause you know, I kinda have nothing except for this shield. I noticed my first spruce tree had grown, so I decided to take a break and chop down all these trees. I continued breaking the one block and reached the end of the phase, and this time it gave me more spruce saplings and a map. That's going to be interesting because now I can see how my base develops throughout this 100 days. After waiting for a couple seconds, we were finally on to the icy Trunda. Trunda? What is Trunda? Not being able to speak aside, we had a major problem. Jerry was now mad at me. I don't know what it was, maybe I accidentally said something to anger him, but he had to be dealt with. I'm sorry, Jerry. I promise you I don't mean it. Day 7 started off with some tree chopping, and then I decided to craft a crap ton of planks because it was time for a new island expansion. See, I have all these animals, but nothing to feed or breed them, so I decided why don't I make a farming area. Once I finished the outline, I decided to grab all of my gravel and dirt because I wanted to do a little trick. Basically, you just have to make yourself a crap ton of coarse dirt, and then you can use a hoe to turn it back into regular dirt, giving you an extra bonus of dirt. Using that trick, I was able to completely fill up this spot with dirt, and then I also started torching up the place during the night because you know, I don't want mobs spawning. That's not a good thing. Day 8, I decided to make sure my island is a little bit safer, so I crafted up some fences and started going around making sure all of my walls were nice and defended, because if I fall off, that's the end of this challenge. Once I ran out of gates, I decided to chop down some more trees so I could finish placing all of them, and I think my island is really starting to come together. I'm proud of this. Day 9, I was back to mining the one block once again, and even a dog spawned in, and I don't know why, but I was curious if I could throw a snowball at it, so I did, and oops, that was a mistake. I stayed up on this tower for a couple minutes, but when the dog wasn't becoming passive again, I had no other choice than to end it. Ignoring that mistake, I was back to mining the one block. Then, out of nowhere, a stray started attacking me, but since I have my shield, it's really not much of a threat. A minute later, 2 other strays spawned in, but these idiots didn't know who to shoot, so they started shooting each other. I continued breaking the one block, and it finally gave me a chest with a piece of ice inside. Do you know what this means? It means we can now have an infinite water source. You can tell how excited I was. I placed down my bucket and that piece of ice, and voila. Just like that, we never had to worry about water in this world again. Overjoyed that I could finally make a farm, I went to bed very happy that night. Day 10, I grabbed all of the farming stuff I've acquired over the last 10 days, and finally was able to start planting them, getting some crops nice and ready. After that nice break, I was back to breaking the 1 block. An Arctic fox spawned in, and worried it might kill my chickens, I killed it. I got attacked by strays a couple more times, but then had a genius idea of putting a bunch of chests around the 1 block. This is so I can organize everything and not have to worry about running back and forth so often. But unfortunately, these gaps made it very ugly, so I decided to do the most logical thing and travel underneath my island, just hovering over death. But it does look much better now. I also decided to move my crafting table and furnace just so I could open up this area a little bit more. I decided to stick them in the floor because, well, where else would I put them? And then the rest of the day was just spent organizing. Day 11, I was back to breaking the 1 block, but then a polar bear decided it wanted to join my world. I didn't know what to do with it, and I kind of figured it was going to kill some of my animals, or me, so I murdered it. After that encounter, I was attacked by skeletons once again, but then decided to go chop down some trees to help ease my mind. Once I was done chopping trees, I came back to organize my inventory a little bit. And I should also point out that I've been getting these iron helmets from the strays I've killed, so I can combine them and turn them into a full iron helmet. Don't worry, I'm not cheating. After that, I decided to make myself some bone meal and do a little bit of farming. But I do kind of regret that because, of course, right when I started breaking the 1 block again, a wolf spawned. You know what this means? It means that if I have bones, I can go ahead and tame this guy. And, hey, I just used them all up. Alright, little wolf, don't mind me. I need to, get some strays. Oh, you're kidding me. So, of course, with my insane luck, that wolf is now dead, and now I have imminent death. These zombies were dangerous, because mixed with the skeleton, they would get launched at me doing a lot of damage with just one singular hit. And on top of that, this skeleton was also pretty strong, and I was not able to take him out. But using his own arrows, I made him defeat his own teammate and then eventually himself. After that near-death experience, I decided it was time for me to get more armor. So I used up almost all of my iron, and yeah, safe to say, I'm gonna be a little more difficult to kill now. With my newfound bravery, I was back to breaking the 1 block once more. I got jumped a couple more times by more skeletons, but eventually I was starting to collect a lot of bones, which meant it was only a matter of time until I got myself a dog. Oh, I was so happy to have this little doggy as a friend, but I'm not gonna do much with him over the next 100 days. After breaking the 1 block a little bit more, organizing my inventory, breaking the block even more, I was on to the next phase. Day 13, I was officially on phase 4, the ocean. But before I went skinny dipping, I decided I wanted to do a little bit of farming first, because I really wanted to start focusing on these animals, trying to get those numbers up. And then after doing that, I decided to do a little bit of tree chopping. I then spent the rest of the day just trying to fix up my farm and overall my island. I think it's starting to get pretty decent, but I'm gonna need a base pretty soon. Before going to sleep for the night, I decided to craft myself up a smoker and put some potatoes in there because, due to contrary belief, melons aren't the best food source in the game. Day 14, I noticed my shield's durability was pretty low, so I decided to craft up a new one. After that, I decided it was finally time to get started with the 1 block. What I do like about this phase is that it features a lot of my favorite blocks, such as prismarine, which I will be using to build my base eventually. While breaking the 1 block, a turtle spawned in, and I didn't know what to do with this guy. I don't know if he can survive outside of water, but I didn't know where else to put him, so I decided to just push him over to my farm area, because I do have a water source in there, and maybe he'll survive, possibly? I don't know, I guess we'll see. After that, something quite interesting happened. We had our first diamond spawn in. This is pretty exciting because diamonds are very hard to come by in 1 block because, well, you only have 1 block, so good luck finding diamonds. I decided I wanted to try collecting these coral blocks, so I placed a water bucket in hopes that it would work, but sadly, it's just gray and dead. Kind of like my social life. I ended up getting this trident from the 1 block and didn't have to wait long before using it. After taking care of those visitors, I decided I needed a place to run just in case things got a little dicey, so I decided to break that sapling just in case a tree were to spawn in block path. I then met probably the strongest fish I've ever seen in this game. This guy did not die after multiple hits. I then ended up catching his cousin, which I'll probably just call Jerry. While breaking the block, my nightmares became true after 2 guardians spawned in. I'm glad I broke that sapling because if that tree would have grown, I could have been stuck having to deal with these guys. But these guys are so annoying. Since I have fences surrounding my whole island, they weren't gonna fall off easily, so I had to take them out one by one. After doing all that hard work, I was pretty tired, tired, so I took a nap. Day 15 was a really peaceful morning, until it wasn't. 2 more guardians showed up, but I did manage to take them out. After a quick intermission to do some smelting, I decided to save this stupid pufferfish's life. Oh, that's a little harsh, isn't it? No, this pufferfish sucks. My hatred for pufferfish aside, I was back to collecting more prismarine for my base. Oh, never mind. I was starting to run a little low on iron, but I figured it'd be okay because I'll get more during this phase, right? Alright, you know what? We need a change. This little platform we have here, it's just not safe enough. I'm gonna end up falling, dying, or something's gonna happen with mobs. So that's why I'm making the awesome Mob Killer 9000. You see, mobs are gonna end up falling into the void if I don't want them to be here. But if I do want them to be here, well, I haven't thought that far ahead. Towards the end of the night, I was very glad I built this thing, because this Elder Guardian just fell straight into the void, and I didn't have to get mining oh, I spoke too soon. Luckily, since I have a cow, getting milk wasn't going to be much of a challenge. Day 16 started out with some morning mining, and I was starting to build up a lot of blocks for my house, which I will be building soon. Soon after, a dolphin spawned in, which made me feel really guilty after it jumped into the void. But that was far from the only mob to fall into the void. We had many casualties this day, which, you know, kinda my fault, but I'm not gonna take any responsibility for, just like your average teenager. With all the guilt I was feeling, I decided to take a break and chop some trees, because it's very relaxing and good for your health. I then went back to mining the 1 block, and a turtle spawned in, and I decided this guy I was not going to let fall into the void. I ended up pushing him to meet the other turtle, but where was the other turtle? Oh, there he is, just blending in with my melon. A short time later, something bad happened. But not to be worried, I do have a wall defending my every action. It was a real close fight, but in the end, I just barely managed to make it out victorious. After collecting all the blocks I'd mined and saying hi to this turtle that's probably gonna dry out since it's not in water, I went to bed. Day 17 started out with me roleplaying as a lumberjack, and then I was back to breaking the 1 block once again, and of course, making my enemies fall to their death. I then decided I wanted to save this turtle somehow, but every time I tried to do something, he just kept running to the 1 block. I decided to ignore him and just go back to trying to get through this phase. Then I would organize my items, and back to sleep I went. Day 18 I did something out of the ordinary, and I finally harvested all of my crops. They've been sitting here for multiple days, I just forgot to harvest them for some reason. After doing that farming, I decided to bake up a whole stack of potatoes, and then I started crafting up some fences because I was ready to transform my animal sanctuary. I wanted to make it a lot more nicer and more organized, as well as establish a good food source. That kept me pretty busy for the rest of the day, and especially these bunnies, because they all refused to go this 1 little block area. I don't know if they hate me, or if they just don't want to cooperate and be caged for the rest of their lives, but my gosh, rabbits, please. I then took a second to admire all the hard work I've done today, and then decided to breed the animals a little bit, because a couple of them might have lost their lives throughout all this, but don't worry, not my fault, definitely didn't do anything. I then crafted up some carpet using the only wool that I had, and that's when I developed an idea. You see, if I breed 2 sheep, the baby spawns in with wool. So, theoretically, if I just keep breeding them, I'll be able to collect wool just like I would if I had grass. Day 19, I was back to doing the boring thing again. That's right, 1 block, baby. Although this time I got something that was kinda cool. It was called the music chest, and it had a music disc and a couple pieces of paper. It also gave me a book, so I decided to write exactly what was going on in my brain at that time. And yeah, I think I might be going insane. Because right after that clip, I decided to stop recording. And guess what I was still doing? I was still playing 1 block. So I made a bit of progress. I actually beat the ocean phase. And I tore down that giant ugly shed surrounding it. But don't worry, many iterations of that are yet to come. But yeah, I made a little bit of progress. Don't know how I stopped recording, but I promise I didn't make too much. The rest of day 20, I mainly spent just trying to make this part look good, but also be functional. And trapdoors aren't the best because mobs can still spawn and walk on them. I then did some farming and breeded my animals a little bit. Day 21, I decided it was finally time to get work on my base, so I grabbed some slabs and began bridging out this new area. Progress was going great until I realized I was going to need much more slabs, so I crafted up a ton and went back to placing. This platform was going to be a lot bigger than all the other previous ones, and that's because this one was going to have a swimming pool for animals as well as my base, so it had to be better and it had to be perfect. perfect. Once I finished the platform, I decided to go around it with a trim of spruce just to spruce things up a little. But in all seriousness though, I want to make sure this area looks really pristine and really draws your eye towards it, so I'm going to make it as perfect as I can. You know what else would be perfect? Joining my Discord server. That's it. That's all I have to say. While outlining my island in spruce, I decided the rest of my island should have it too, so I went around breaking the edges of every single platform just so I could add spruce, and oh yeah, that looks so much better. Since nighttime was coming, I also thought it'd be smart to not have a mob farm, so I lit up my island. And also put down a bunch of fences just so I don't end up falling into the void. By day 22, I had the perfect area to start building, and it was all ready for a pool. That's right, the first thing we're gonna go ahead to build is a pool. The first thing I did is grab my prismarine, and I wanted to be a little bit smarter, so I crafted slabs so I'd be able to save some blocks. Next, I carefully hovered above the void, just trying to place these blocks in a pattern that looked kinda cool. Then I had to place a water bucket down and try not to fall into the void as I did the floor. Once I was done building this thing, it was finally time to bring it to life. So I placed down a fish bucket that I collected through the ocean zone and started filling this thing up. Next, we were up to the turtles, and one of them has sadly disappeared. I have no idea what happened to it, but I'm praying that it's still alive somewhere. After some final details such as bone meal, it was all finally done and it looked really good. Now it was finally time to work on my house, so after a quick night's rest, I went straight to it. By day 27, I'd finished building my entire base, and I definitely like the Japanese-inspired build. I think it looks really cool, and I definitely want to build more in this style in the future. Now that I had a house, it was time to fill it. So what I did is I went around adding a couple chests, a furnace, and a crafting table. This is where a majority of my items will be held, and especially the important ones, such as iron and other things. I then ran over to my animals to see their thoughts on my build, and oh yeah, no, it looks pretty good. Yeah, I like it. I don't know, man, it could be a little bigger. After dealing with that person that didn't like my build that much, I decided it was finally time to sleep, and we were on to day 28, where I was back to breaking the 1 block after my 5-day vacation. I forgot what the name of the phase was, but I'm pretty sure it's along the lines of jungle, because the 1 block was giving me a lot of mossy cobblestone. I ended up getting some parrots and quickly had to rush around and find seeds, but luckily there was some in my inventory, so I could quickly tame them. But upon further inspection, I realized there was 2 of them, and I just pushed one in the void. Whoops. Oh, just kidding. It's actually on my shoulder. I didn't know where to put these guys without getting them in danger, so I decided to drop them off right next to my dog, that I've also never really talked to. You know what? I'm not a very good pet owner, am I? I then decided to grab some crops and go breed my animals. After a little bit of organizing, it was time for bed. Day 29 started out with me breaking the 1 block, but then I decided it was time for a change. I broke all the trapdoors surrounding this little 1 block, and then I decided it was time to bring back the barrier. That's right. We're going safety mode, because, you know what? We're almost a third of the way through this challenge, and if I die now, I will be very, very sad. I thought doing this would be smart because mobs couldn't get me, but I thought too soon, because the only mob that could hit me is Vexes, and guess what zone I'm in? I'm in a zone that spawns Vexes. Luckily, they weren't too much of a problem, and I was able to get back to breaking the 1 block, until we had more company. Oh, my bad. Did you think something bad was gonna happen? I ended up getting this chest that had some bamboo in it, so I decided to go plant it by my house. I thought it would make for a nice decoration. I was finally starting to collect some more interesting blocks, such as redstone, and then a panda that just decided to spawn in. This guy was huge, and I really did not want him to be falling into the void. I used a piece of bamboo to guide him over to my animal pit, and then I just kinda let him sit there. The rest of the day was then just spent breaking the 1 block, until it decided to make me look like I'm cheating, by giving me a wandering trader spawn egg. Look, I don't know why he gave it to me, but I'm not going to complain because now it looks kind of cool in my collection. After that, I decided to grab all the collectibles from around my island and put it inside my base. And then right before going to bed, I sheared my sheep. I started out day 30 by grabbing some bamboo so I could plant some more on the side of my house. I then decided to participate in some deforestation. I swear it's for a good reason though. Well, even if that reason is just so I can label my chest for organizing purposes. I then made myself an iron axe and continued on with deforestation. Today was really starting to feel like a chore day because right after that, I was out in the field gathering crops and then back to breaking the 1 block. A horse spawned in, but I didn't feel like going through the effort of bringing it to meet my other animals, so same could be said for more animals, but we can ignore that. I ended off the day by making some adjustments to the safety bunker, and now it has a roof. I woke up day 31 admiring this lantern for some reason, and then put gates blocking the doorway to the safety bunker. The 1 block gave me a chest with a single piece of sugarcane, so I quickly decided to go plant it. The 1 block then spawned in some parrots, and after trying to find some seeds, I came back to them role-playing as skydivers and had to watch them slowly fly into the void. I quickly forgot about the parrots though, because the 1 block rewarded me with some diamonds and other ores. That's so odd. Oh, there's a witch. A witch spawned in saying something about liking the video if you're enjoying it, but then she slipped and fell into the void. It truly was a tragedy. I got another piece of sugarcane from the chest and was going to plant it with the other ones when a monster party had spawned in. I got chased around by a bunch of these flying little rats that resembled one of my old teachers, and then this witch splashed me with poison with her final breath, which forced me to eat a golden apple. After taking care of this spider, I had to rebuild the safety bunker as it had gotten a little destroyed from the fight. Also, a lot of these vexes were still flying around, but I can't really kill them because of how low they are and they're kind of in the void. After that stressful day, I really needed a nap. Day 32 started out with more of these stupid flying rats spawning from the 1 block, and as I went to collect the blocks, I heard one sneaking up behind me and just barely managed to not fall into the void. Die, you stupid rat. I continued breaking the 1 block and it gave me another diamond and then a music chest with some more books. I noticed that since I had 4 books, I could make a lectern. So when I get access to villagers, this will allow me to get librarians, which will sell me even more bookshelves, so then I can get an enchantment table very easily. Before we got villagers though, we still had to pass this jungle phase, which was not going to be easy. After creating a new iron pickaxe, I got completely sidetracked and went around collecting wheat to make bread for the villagers. Look, it's better to be safe than sorry. At least that's what my parents say. Finally, I was ready to get back to mining. Stupid rats. Your mom then stopped to say hi, but I continued mining and punching these cats into the void. Ignoring that last part, I broke some bamboo, spread it around my house, and then went to bed. Day 33 started out with me roleplaying as a lumberjack before realizing I wasn't quite cut out for this job. I then decided the way I was doing things was just not efficient enough. I mean, think about it. When I have villagers, I'm gonna need a ton of wood, and chopping down 10 trees to get a stack just wouldn't be that smart. Bad puns aside, I thought it'd be a lot smarter to plant big spruce trees instead, seeing as 1 tree can give me 2 stacks of wood alone. I started day 34 with punching some more bamboo and then making some fletching tables. Can you tell that I really want these villagers? Our first few big spruce trees had grown and they looked super tall compared to the rest of my island. So I did a reasonable thing, which was crafting 3 stone axes before I went to start my new position as a lumberjack. Here's to hoping it pays pretty well. After some hard work, the day was already over and I went back to bed before any mobs had the opportunity of spawning in. Day 35, I planted some spruce trees before collecting some leather from the black market. The FBI heard about it and sent some agents after me soon after. While breaking the 1 block, 2 single mothers spawned into my area before quickly leaving after seeing me. I got a diamond from this chest that spawned in and then finally was surprised with the benevolent gift, which meant the end of the jungle phase. Listen, jungles are probably one of my favorite biomes in this game, but this phase was enough to change my opinion. I had a full minute to wait before the block upgraded, so I took the opportunity to smelt up some iron and organize my inventory. Finally, we were on to phase 6, the red desert. With how quickly I was going through this red sand, this would probably be the fastest phase yet, until my shovel broke. After crafting a new one, we were on to record pace. I found some more diamonds, killed an adorable fox, and it was a pretty good day. Day 36, I clocked into my position as a lumberjack before going to 1v1 this tree. After my victory, I celebrated by breaking the 1 block, which was now giving me emeralds. You know, with all these emeralds, it's almost like it's trying to give me a village. Oh my god, Angela, you are the love of my life. I used a fletching table to guide the villager back to my house, and then used 6 gates to keep them nice and trapped. It's just for safety purposes. Please don't be freaked out, right? I'm not crazy. I used some of the wood that I'd gotten to get some emeralds from Angela, as well as lock in her stick trade. I then did some more mining on the 1 block before quickly hitting the hay, or as normal people would say, sleeping. Day 37, I was working hard, or hardly working. Well, probably neither. I mean, I am playing a 3D block game. I then was jump scared by what I thought was an enemy, but he actually turned out to be neutral since he didn't have a weapon. I decided to save his life, well, at least for now. Listen, buddy, you better behave. You're on thin ice. After that short interruption, I was back to working on the 1 block. And now here's a fun little challenge. How many times do you think I've said 1 block throughout this video? Whoever can guess the correct amount of times in the comments will receive some sort of a prize. A villager trader then showed up on the 1 block, and after seeing the super useful items that I 100% needed, I turned around and he fell into the void. I looked up and I looked everywhere. I just couldn't find him. You know, it truly was heartbreaking. It was so sad. Even this guy wanted to say his goodbyes, but I punched him back into submission. I wanted to get some more emeralds, but after running low on wood, I decided to go gather some more, and then off to sleep I went. Instead of waking up to do some trading, I completely forgot and started mining the 1 block again. You see, don't forget, kids. Wait, how did the rest of that go again? A few minutes later, I remembered I needed to roleplay as the government and scam my villager out of some money because, after all, I did give them a place to stay. I went back to the magical 1 block and ended up killing some donkeys, and I swear their death noises were made just to make me feel bad for killing them. Like, at least give me leather. At this point, I was starting to collect a bunch of terracotta, but I don't have any ideas for what to build, so it's just gonna kind of sit in this chest for a while. Joe Mama was the second villager to arrive, but instead of becoming a Fletcher, he decided to creepily sit outside my house windows trying to break in. After a ton of convincing, Joe finally decided to become a Fletcher. Welcome to the business, my friend. I did some farming for bread and sheared my sheep for their little wool I could get. It all would have been much easier if you didn't eat my only grass block. This guy then tried to bully me, but I heroically ran inside to sleep. Get back to your place. Okay, never mind. I'm sorry, sir. It'll never happen again, I promise. After that encounter, I calmed down by the soothing sounds of capitalism. Just listen to that beautiful sound of money. Unfortunately, that sound of money won't keep up if I run out of product. So I clocked back into my position as a lumberjack, and I hope I get a raise soon. After clocking out, I went back to mining the 1 block before tragedy struck. This was by far the most difficult mob party yet. I mean, I had to click my mouse a solid 8 times. Can you believe that? Day 40, I caught this guy relaxing trying to pet my panda and decided to absolutely obliterate him with my axe. For some reason, this made me feel incredibly bad, especially when I realized his brother witnessed it all happen right in front of him. Oh well, nothing a little bit of capitalism can't fix. Speaking of capitalism, while breaking the 1 block, another villager spawned in. Welcome to the team, Usman. You can become my librarian. This may be the only time I will happily take a bookshelf trade instead of something like mending. But with limited access to iron, there really is no need for me to get enchantment books. I took a quick break to breed some animals before quickly returning back to breaking the 1 block. Please stop giving me spawn eggs. People are gonna think this is fake. For a second, I thought these guys were gonna be friendly until this guy tried to hit me several times with his axe. Yeah, blame it on Tourette's, buddy. I know what you were trying to do. Day 41, I started out by crafting my 87th iron pickaxe before mining the 1 block yet again. Some husks spawned in, but they ended up falling into the void, sadly. And then I was surprised with a benevolent gift. You know, this phase felt so much shorter than the jungle phase. The next phase, though, is going to be the scariest of them all. It's the nether phase, which in my opinion is the most terrifying one. Because think about it like this. My island is 90% wood, and with a single blaze, this whole island can be burned down if things went wrong. I decided to play it as safe as I could by putting stone slabs surrounding the safety bunker just in case a blaze were to shoot me and some fireballs hit me. Day 42, I woke up on guard. I made myself a bow and bought some arrows off a villager to help defend myself. Luckily, with just iron tools, this phase will go by pretty quick with how quick the netherite gets destroyed. Our first enemy spawned in, and he was either shaking with excitement or rage. I couldn't really tell which one though. Maybe the void can answer that. While breaking the 1 block, some ancient debris spawned in, which forced me to make a diamond pickaxe. And I don't know if you can use an iron pickaxe to mine ancient debris, but I didn't really have enough patience to find out. I also managed to get a piece of obsidian right after, which made me really happy. We only needed 9 more pieces before we could go to the nether, which isn't just 1 block. Speaking of the 1 block, it gave me yet another spawn egg. Why do I need all these? My worst nightmares then came true after some blazes spawned in. Luckily, I managed to keep the damage to a minimum, only losing the single oak fence in the process. I decided to change the roof of the safety bunker before going back to sleep. Day 43, some wither skeletons skeletons spawned in, which gave me a good chance to use my bow. Soon after, I was jump scared the absolute hardest I've ever been jump scared in Minecraft. This gas is easily the loudest thing to ever happen inside my eardrums, and despite it being 3 AM, I continued mining the 1 block. These weird warped blocks were really slow to break despite what tool I used, so I decided to invest in a new fresh iron hoe. Remember kids, never waste your diamonds on a hoe in Minecraft. It just spawned in, which gave me a piece of netherite scrap and a blaze rod. Soon after, it also gave me some pigs from hell, or as I'd like to call them, mistakes. Ignoring what my mom calls me, I stole my bed back from some villagers and then went to sleep. Day 44, I went to go look at my animals when I noticed something. There were so many of them that they literally had no room to walk. So against my better judgment, I sold them to McDonald's, making sure to keep at least a few so they didn't go extinct. Luckily, I don't think fast food will be an issue for quite a long time. I took a minute to do a little bit of extra farming and then breeded my sheep before killing them all. Look, I know I may sound like an absolute monster, but I only need a few of them so I can get some wool. So the rest can just kind of go. I went back to mining the 1 block and learned that water is pretty deadly to striders before summoning the reincarnation of hell. This blaze was lucky enough to get a shot on me, so I decided to repay the favor by letting him slowly fall into the void. I decided to decorate the safety bunker to match the theme a little bit more before I went back to bed. The next morning, I wasted no time getting back to the 1 block. I heroically placed the slab and started killing this blaze, but he escaped through the gaping hole in the floor. But I wasn't gonna let Buddy escape that easily, so just like my American brothers, I shot at him. Big mistake. He launched a counterattack, shooting my island in 3 different spots, causing absolute mayhem to break out. It was all starting to burn and I couldn't extinguish the flames because they were underneath my island. By some miracle, I was able to stop them, but the damage was already done. I mean, sure, it could have been a whole lot worse, but if I wasn't an American, then this probably just wouldn't have happened in the first place. I guess it's what we get for liking guns. All jokes aside, someone had to clean up this mess, and it was going to have to be me. Thank you, stupid blaze. I went back to breaking the 1 block, and to rub more salt in the wound, I was attacked by some hell pigs. Today just wasn't my day. Day 46 started out with me doing a considerable amount of lumberjacking until this panda looked straight into my face. At some point, I'd love to make this guy a whole little habitat. I mean, just look at him. Back to breaking the 1 block, I'm in another strider, and instead of pouring water on him this time, I smacked him with it. I went back into my base to deposit the wood from earlier and realized the sheer amount of wood that I have collected. I'm expecting a raise soon because I've put in my work. I got a little bit of obsidian and then a lava bucket for some reason. I continued breaking the 1 block until the end of the day and then went back to sleep. Day 47, I woke up to what you probably could guess. I went back to mining the sacred block. These magma keeps spawned in, but it didn't even faze me at this point. I just kept mining like nothing happened. I had now collected 9 pieces of obsidian, meaning I only needed 1 more before I could make my nether portal, which immediately made today better than, well, the incident that I don't want to name. After a few more minutes of mining, it was done. I had finally collected 10 pieces of obsidian and could go to the nether. I grabbed a ton of nether themed blocks and broke all the bamboo along with these fences. I wanted my nether portal to be right outside my house so it would make my house look a little cooler. I forgot to actually start recording using the replay mod, but I can just tell you what I did. I started out with building the portal and then made some weird shapes using netherrack to make it look like the nether had broken through the portal. I don't know if anybody else does this, but I love to do this in my builds. I put down some soul sand, infected the floor, and added detail by detail. By nighttime, this place was really starting to come to life. Day 48, I added some flames to the soul sand, but had to be careful to not accidentally set my island on fire. Finally, I got myself organized and grabbed my golden apples and then went inside the portal. Upon stepping through, I was convinced my PC was about to blow up. Every single fan started going at once and my game literally froze for like 30 seconds. As beautiful as this place is, my PC just can't run it with shaders, so I'm gonna have to temporarily turn that off. I collected some bone blocks before deciding I was way too afraid to be in the nether right now, so I stepped back out. And wow, my world looks so weird without the shaders. Much better. I used some of the bone meal I got as steroids for my crops before going back to sleep once more. Seeing as I had finally had an abundance of bone meal, I decided to do the same thing for the morning of day 49. I also managed to grab this really beautiful shot of my nether area, which definitely has not become the background of my PC. Seeing as it's been a few days, I did a little bit of mining on the one block just for the sport of it before going back to the nether, because I forgot to do the one thing I needed before I left, and that's grab these 4 extra little bits of obsidian from the sides of the portal. Using these, I was able to go back to the overworld and craft myself an enchantment table. I decided I wanted it to be on the other side of my house because it looked a little bare compared to the nether chunk on the opposite side. I expanded the floor out a little and then placed down my enchantment table along with all of its books. Turns out I was actually missing 2 bookshelves, but we can ignore that. I did a little bit of decorating, but stopped to get some rest. Day 50 started out with me finally giving my panda a proper setup. I gave him some bamboo, which he seemed pretty grateful for, and then I got back to work decorating my enchantment table setup. Since we had hell on one side of the house, I thought an overgrown theme would make for a nice opposite. So I made my enchantment area look like an ancient structure, but it looked like it needed a little bit more. Leaves were the perfect solution for this build, so I bone mealed up a tree and sheared the leaves right off the side of it before going ham for my enchantment setup. This was indeed a good detail because it looked amazing. Day 51, I was still in the building spirit and decided to use some prismarine slabs for the flooring, which looked alright, I guess. It's okay. And then started a new expansion that would be hidden behind my base. This area would later become known as the villager pit, but it needed a ton of work. I had to break a lot of blocks and didn't really have a plan for what it would look like, but I did the best thing I do, and that's winging it. I surrounded it with cobblestone, which helped give it that prison feel before stepping back to look at all of the work I've done the past few days. I gave some more bamboo to my favorite panda before going back to sleep. Day 52, I went to go shear my sheep because I was in need of a lot of beds, and then went to finally go enchant my items. You might be wondering why I didn't just craft some diamond gear to enchant, but you'll find out soon enough. After getting fortune 2 on my pickaxe, I started work on my villager area. I tore down most of the cobblestone I had previously built up and instead went for more of a spruce style. I then took a slight break only to get right back to building on day 53. Just like a girl doing her makeup, I was trying to find a way to hide the back of my house because it didn't match the style at all. I put down some fences and started work on a dome for the roof, which looked pretty good if you ask me. For the ceiling, I wanted to go for more of a different style by putting a bunch of fences together. By the end of the day, I was pretty proud of how it all looked, and before going back to bed, I decided to tear down my back wall in order to give these villagers a new home. Come on, villager, I promise you're gonna love it in here. By day 54, I had the villagers in position and was ready to start placing down all of their beds. I forgot to take into account that villagers are just like notorious criminals. Just when you think things are going good, we have an unfortunate runner. He came back for some reason, so I decided to shove him back into the pit where he was supposed to be. Somehow there was already a little child running around, but I take that as a good sign. Back at my house, I finally was able to destroy all of these gates that had been bothering me the last few days, and then finally made some bread to feed my villagers. I wasted no time getting back to that beautiful capitalism, and some other small chores around the island like getting more beds for my villagers. After that, I made some blaze soup at the one block and managed to reach the end of the phase. I was going to sleep upon entering my house, but I heard some weird zombie noises and I couldn't tell where they were coming from. But if they ended up infecting my villagers, that would make for a huge mess. After searching for literally, I can't make this up, 5 minutes, I finally found him hiding in the tiniest gap he ever could have spawned in. Day 55, this wandering trader showed up and actually had something I wanted to buy. I then warned him not to enter my house, but he did so anyways, so I had to deal with him. I spent the rest of my morning doing some fine capitalism before going to mine the one block. This phase was called Idle and had the absolutely most random theme. It had every single zone collected into this one phase, which made for a really tough time. It mainly gave me a lot of bee things like honey and hives, but it also dropped a lot of quartz, which could be used for a cool build later. I then crafted myself up a grindstone and unenchanted my shovel. My goal was to get silk touch so I could finally touch some grass, and I was willing to do whatever it took. I crafted up some wooden shovels and started enchanting them with some meaningless enchants. Since I didn't get silk touch on any of them, I crafted up even more shovels, and finally, this little thing popped up on the enchantment table. The only issue is now I don't have enough levels to get it. Day 56, I used some of the wood from my collection to trade with a villager for some XP, but wasn't able to get enough enough sadly, so I had no other choice but to clock back into work as a lumberjack. I'm really hoping they don't mind I took 10 days off my job. I gave my panda some bamboo before going to trade with my villagers, and this was finally never mind, I just went to sleep. Day 57, I woke up and warmed up by doing this insanely fair and balanced fight with this iron golem before going to trade. This was my moment. After 56 days, I was finally going to have another grass block using the power of Silk Touch. Within 30 seconds of getting this enchant, I had already found the grass block I needed. I made sure to place this one nice and far away from the sheep just to be extra safe. I then got this rare chest with some gold and another useless enchantment book that I will probably never use. I did a little bit of farming and made another smoker because my old one accidentally got tossed in the void. I then made some fresh new steak instead of the usual potatoes, threw some carrots in this villager's face before going to sleep. Day 58, I woke up and 1v1 this iron golem before deciding today was going to be an important day. I was gathering a bunch of materials so I could finally build an iron farm. If you don't know, this is probably one of the most important farms to have in one block, and I needed it. But before we built that, we had to gather a lot of things. For starters, I needed 4 stacks of blocks that couldn't burn, so the easy solution was netherrack. So I made a quick trip to the nether and collected some blocks. I also needed a bunch of crumbs and logs, but my axe decided to break before I had enough, so I had to resort to using my fist. This is exactly why we need an iron farm. Day 59, I was gathering the rest of the blocks I needed and took a quick break to kill an iron golem before stopping to do my daily capitalism. I decided to level up my librarian because I thought I would need a name tag, and to my surprise, it actually popped up with the name tag trade, which made me pretty happy. I had to break the one block a little more because I actually didn't have all the materials necessary, and my only chance of getting them was through the one block. I got this skeleton horse and decided to save it, and I think I'll name you Jerry. I was then jump scared by some phantoms and then went to sleep. Day 60, I woke up and did some trading with my business partners, which reminds me, feel free to stop by my personal website, shopkingbob.com, and you can get yourself some beautiful King Bob merch. I mean, how could you say no to this little King Bob? Merch plugs aside, I went on to do the great cleansing of sheep. I swear, it was completely justified. I trapped some villagers in boats and then looked around my island for a good spot to build an iron farm. I decided to remove all the torches from the panda sanctuary and waited for a zombie to spawn in. I bit off a little bit more than I could chew though and realized just how many other mobs there were. After killing the skeleton, I noticed the zombie had armor on, which made me 76% sure he wouldn't despawn. Just to be safe, I threw my iron hoe at him, which he picked up. I decided to loan him my house for the time being and took a nap alone that night. Day 61, I was fixing the previous mistakes of spawning mobs and managed to light the whole island back up. While trying to get back into my house, I accidentally let the zombie free and he was refusing to get trapped again. After a little bit of struggling, I convinced him to stay in my window until I actually needed him. With everything all collected, I started building this iron farm and actually remembered to use replay mod. Day 66, I had finished building the iron farm, which is already starting to work. I tore down this ugly path and started building a nicer one using spruce. I then went back through and added some fences on top to stop my clumsiness from killing me. After that, I dealt with this iron golem who was confused on where to go, and then I went to sleep. Day 67 started out with me getting organized, and then I 1v1 this golem. You know, I can't help but feel like this is a reoccurring theme for the mornings. This wandering trader showed up, and I decided to leave him be for the first time ever. Like I would ever do that. I decided that since I was a miner, I was going to do some mining on the one block. I promise that sentence only makes sense if you don't think about it. The zombie horse spawned in, and I decided to let him roam the island to wherever he wanted to go while I was mining the one block. I got a lot of honey bottles from this chest, and then was attacked by some vicious bees, which reminds me of World War B from my 100 Days in Bedrock series that you should 100% watch. I can't stress just how random this phase was. I had so many chests, and they all gave me the most random blocks in the game. I got attacked by another bee swarm and then took out some golems before going to sleep. Day 68, I decided I needed to make very slight changes to the iron golem farm. After watching this guy melt into literal money, I decided to postpone all of that and make 2 smithing tables to start using this for even more capitalism. I bought like 7 axes from this villager in hopes of getting an iron trade, and I probably should have done this a lot sooner because I continued leveling up my toolsmiths until they started selling me enchanted iron tools. Yeah, I'm gonna need your entire stock, sir. Unfortunately, leveling them up took most of the profits I gathered, so it was back to roleplaying as a lumberjack. I really need to fix my iron golems spawning on my collection platform because they could have killed me very easily if they were mad at me. After all of that, an iron golem spawned right in front of my eyes trying to act like Jesus before having a quick prayer session with him. Day 69, stop laughing. I decided to craft some trapdoors on this platform so no more golems could spawn in, which seemed to be pretty effective. I passed this iron golem trying to look like I wasn't farming his family members before selling their remains for profits. Wow, that got really dark. I threw tons of these stone tools into the void and did some more trading. We went from stone tools to iron tools to freaking diamond tools. This is what it looks like to be a baller. This is exactly why I decided not to spend my diamonds earlier in this movie. I noticed this visitor on my roof and decided to treat him to a good time before crafting some blast furnaces. These would allow me to get some armorers, which, if you're a genius like me, you know exactly what they'll sell me after enough trading. Time to chop some trees. You know, after this video, I feel like I'm going to have to write a formal apology to Mr. Beast and Mark Rober. Hi, little panda. Day 70, I went to unclog my iron golem farm and then immediately went back to tree chopping. I apologize in advance for how repetitive things are about to get from here. I emptied my inventory into this chest and proceeded to craft a metric ton of sticks to sell for profit. If only it was this easy in real life. ShopKingBob.com. Please, I need this. I went to go check on my iron supplies and was very happy to see I'd already made it up to 36 iron after less than a full day. I proceeded to craft fletching tables with iron, and then sticks, and then finally I used flint. I blame this on me being tired and nothing else. I did more trading, leveled up some armorers, and went to go chop trees. Pause. Where was my panda? The worst news had become a very sad reality. Jerry the panda had been killed by a giant spruce tree. Can we get a rest in peace in the comments for Jerry the panda? Rest easy, King. It happened too soon. Day 71, I won't even lie to you, it was pretty much the exact same thing as the day before, minus this one little thing. I started World War B all over again. I don't know if it's just because of my extreme skill, but I didn't end up getting touched one singular time throughout the whole battle. I had to repair the safety bunker a little bit, but honestly, I prefer doing that instead of trading with villagers for another 20 minutes straight. I got a diamond along with other cool blocks, and then a music chest with pig step. Some donkeys spawned in, or as I like to call them, free leather. While vibing where I thought I was completely safe, these messages in chat appeared and it freaked me out a little bit. But ignoring that, the rest of the day consisted of me breaking the 1 block until I reached the end of the phase. Judging by my message in chat, I was starting to get pretty over it. After a quick nap, day 72, I was ready for the next phase of the 1 block. I crafted some extra chests in my base, which would help me clear out all of the junk from the last phase. Speaking of phases, we were now on to the Desolate land phase, which I'm pretty sure is one of the final phases of the 1 block. After doing some very fun and entertaining organizing for the entire day and night, I can't be the only person that spends an entire day in my world just doing this, right? Day 73, I was still going strong with organizing in the world, and then decided today was going to be a chore day. I clocked back into work for a while before noticing my panda was gone. Rest easy, Jerry the panda. Day 74, I unclogged the Iron Producer 9000 and did some amazing capitalism. My villagers were finally on to selling me insanely OP diamond gear that isn't actually insanely OP because it has fire protection, and that's about it. Diamonds are diamonds though, and I won't complain. I bought the full set of diamond armor, which felt like a huge accomplishment, and then immediately used a grindstone to erase all of the other enchants. Since I was level 44, I didn't have to worry about getting more levels for enchants, and oh my god, never mind. One day I will be lucky with enchantments, at least I hope so. My goal was to get at least protection 3 or just unbreaking on every single item. But I didn't get very lucky. After a little bit more of trading, I was finally back to level 30 and decided I wanted to enchant my new bow that I just crafted instead of my armor. But I did get power 4. Day 75, I was doing more boring villager stuff and then tried my luck with more enchanting. And finally, I got some super decent armor that would definitely work for now. I was looking pretty shiny with my new protection on breaking armor, and I used my grindstone to erase the enchants of my borrowed tools from the villagers, and then crafted myself a new diamond sword. I was unfortunately out of wood for the 42nd time and decided to go collect some more, but it just wasn't the same without my panda watching over me. Day 76 started out with me unclogging my iron farm once again that I still have not managed to fix, and then I took a quick pit stop at my villager pit before going to chop down some more trees. My iron axe was on its last life, so I decided to combine it with one of my older axes. I was trying to get to level 30, so I unenchanted a couple of my wooden shovels and got efficiency 4 on my diamond pickaxe. I decided since I wasn't getting very lucky on my enchants, it was finally time to get some librarians. I bought 4 bookshelves and turned them into lecterns before realizing it was pretty late and all of my villagers were asleep, so I joined them. I woke up and threw some glass at my feet and still wasn't able to reach level 30, so I went to start trying to get good villagers. I got mending on practically my first try, but decided it was way too expensive and it just wasn't worth it. I then got protection 4, which I would happily decided to buy. The next villager decided to take a while to give me something good, but eventually they gave me a mending book for half the price of the old one. Pleasure doing business with you, sir. Roleplaying like Logan Paul aside, I finally reached level 30 and decided to enchant my pickaxe once again. And it was so close to being the perfect pickaxe, minus one thing. Silk Touch. Out of all the other times I've needed Silk Touch in this movie, you give it to me now. I decided I wouldn't stand for this and instead just crafted an anvil so I could combine my Fortune 2 pickaxe with this one. I don't mind getting rid of Silk Touch because I only needed that enchant for grass, which I already have. I added protection to almost all of my armor, but once again completely ran out of levels and had to skip adding protection to my helmet. Day 78, I woke up and was ready to do something different. I walked into the nether portal and started mining quartz for levels. This was 100% more interesting to me rather than trading with villagers for 20 minutes straight. I decided that while I was here in the nether, I should mine down to Y15 so I could start mining some ancient debris. Since I had this new enchanted diamond pick, mining was super fast and I managed to find my first 2 pieces super quickly. I continued mining for the rest of the day, getting quartz, gold, and barely any ancient debris. I decided to leave my mining hole and start bridging out towards this nether cliff, and then I heard a ghast around me, but I decided to ignore it and focus on getting to safety. I spent a while just running around looking for a fortress, but sadly had 0 luck finding one, and just ended up getting a bit annoyed. Day 79, I returned home from the nether and spent a little time getting organized. I then did some villager stuff before focusing on chopping down more trees. I climbed up my enchantment table to shoot this iron golem point blank in the face before doing some very exciting trading. I cannot wait for the day where I don't have to trade with villagers in Minecraft anymore. All of the villagers ended up going to bed, but I didn't let that stop me from getting good enchants. Day 80, I grabbed some mending books and started putting them on my armor and tools. While minding my own business, an iron golem spawned in the wall, which made me jump a little bit. I went back to the nether once more because I really needed to get more netherite before the 100 days was over. Since I had mending, I was able to repair my pickaxe when its durability started to get a little low. I decided I needed to find this fortress as soon as possible and proceeded to spend the next 2 days looking for it. I wish I could say I was joking, but these things are impossible to find. I ended up finding it by complete accident while trying to walk back to my portal and took out this skeleton in complete anger. I stepped into the fortress with my guns blazing, no pun intended, and started collecting all of the blaze rods I could ever want. While looting this place, I found a lot of useful items such as diamonds, horse armor, a saddle, and more. While I was in the nether, I really wanted to get all of my ender pearls ready, so I trapped these little pigs in a hole and began trading with them. I might be one of the most unlucky players ever, because after an entire stack of gold, I only managed to get 4 pearls. Not that that really mattered though, because little did I know, the next phase in the 1 block would give me all the pearls I would ever want. Ignoring this useful information, I proceeded to spend a ton of time trying to find a warped forest for more endermen. I instead found found yet another fortress, a crimson biome, a basalt delta, and just at this point was getting sick of it. I took the walk of shame back to my nether portal and then decided to take a nap because it was nighttime. Day 84, I finally got around to fixing my iron golem farm by turning the last row of blocks into stairs so that the iron golem didn't get stuck. Of course, this ended up messing everything up and turned the lava into obsidian. While trying to break it, this iron golem got mad at me and nearly tossed me into the void. I stood there for a second contemplating what I should do because I literally just avoided death like a champ. I managed to fix all of the errors and went on with my day. My day then consisted of breaking the one block. A creeper spawned in, which I hadn't seen in 80 days, before a chest spawned in with another spawn egg. By the end of the day, an evoker decided he wanted to join the party, but ended up falling into the void, leaving me to take care of his flying rat problem. And then I went to sleep. Day 85, I woke up to do some more trading before going back to mining the one block. Some not able to fly rats spawned in, which was a nice change of pace if you ask me. And then this chest popped up with the weirdest noise I've ever heard, but I will gladly take those diamonds. A monster party spawned in, which had some more flying rats, but sadly that wasn't enough to stop me. I decided to change up the safety bunker to better match the theme once again before it started storming, so I went to bed. Day 86, I woke up and started mining the one block and immediately got my daily dose of fright. An evoker caught me off guard, causing me to mine a block instead of fighting him, but that was fine because homie literally walked off the block himself. More mobs spawned in and I continued mining the one block even more. There's really not much more to say. Although I did realize something. The reason why evokers were probably spawning in this phase wasn't just to annoy me, it was to actually help me by giving me totems. So I decided to block off the void and went to my iron farm to grab some iron, and then took a second to enchant my axe, but it only got unbreaking. After a few moments of mining, I reached the end of the phase, which meant no more evokers sadly, but that was fine. I waited for the new phase, which was called the end. I decided to craft an iron golem to help me defend myself against the evil things that might start spawning from the one block, except he got stuck in the wall for a few seconds. Day 87, I needed some more money, so I went to go chop down more trees with my diamond axe. After that, you could probably guess what happened. After roleplaying as the United States government, I had enough levels to re-enchant my axe, and this time got efficiency and unbreaking. I decided this was good enough and slapped some mending on that sucker before finally going to sleep. Day 88 started off with me chopping even more trees and then selling it away for profits. You know, it probably would have been 1,000 times smarter and more efficient if I would have just let these villagers get infected and then cure them for a better price. Did I ever do that? No. But should I? Yes. I enchanted this fresh new diamond helmet and finally got something decent on it. I played around for some more enchantment books before finally getting sharpness 5 at 4 AM. Day 89, I was back in the nether hunting for more netherite, except my game tried to completely break and resulted in me getting attacked with the power of lag. You know what? Right here, I thought for sure I was going to be a goner, but somehow managed to live throughout the whole attack. I went down into the mine shaft and started doing some more mining for ancient debris. I unfortunately didn't get much except for a greeting from all of my fans. I spent a while running around collecting quartz, gold, and other things for levels. I was still in here for day 90 and continued to do the same things as previously. Towards the end of the day, I emerged back into the overworld and organized my inventory. I threw my ancient debris into a furnace and crafted all of my quartz I'd collected into blocks. I made myself up 4 netherite ingots and finally put it onto my armor. I feel pretty powerful now. I did some more preparation with my villagers and crafted a new sword to enchant. My plan was to add them both together to make a very strong sword. Sure, it would have taken every single level to my name, but that's a pretty decent sword if you ask me. I went back to the nether on day 91 because I wanted to finally get the rest of the pearls I needed. Little did I know the current phase I was on would give me plenty, but oh well. I spent a while trying to find a piglin before finally finding one near my portal. I managed to get another 5 pearls and only needed a couple more at this point, which these piglins happily helped out with. Sir, please stop hitting me. Please. Day 92, I finally got started on the one block and smacked Jerry the Iron Golem not once, not twice, but 3 times. I'm so sorry, please don't be mad. I healed my Iron Golem only to hit him once again by accident. Homie straight up looked me dead in the eyes, which was nerve-wracking. I'm so sorry. Some Endermen spawned in, but Jerry, the absolute unit he was, took them out with no problem, and a minute later proceeded to do the same thing again. Can we get a hashtag Jerry in the comments? I decided to take a break from mining the 1 block and did a little organizing with my OP loot. Towards the middle of the night, I realized I needed to start collecting some more sugarcane because my rockets were going to be needed once I entered the end. And that's when I noticed something horrible. This zombie spawned in, but I yeeted him into the nether without a second thought. I grabbed an easy to break block and started making this platform for mobs to spawn in. I needed to collect a lot of gunpowder and figured this would be probably the easiest way. Day 93 started out with me in an intense fight with a shulker that was for some reason glowing white. I then went back to mining the 1 block. A new monster party had spawned in, but I wasn't too worried. That was until this levitating enderman decided he wanted to ascend, but ended up falling and dying mysteriously along with the rest of the mobs. While repairing the damages, I noticed Jerry the Iron Golem had been killed and decided to plant his remains to pay respects. I'm truly sorry for all the times I hit you, big guy. I used my frustration on breaking the 1 block and killed a bunch of endermites. I made myself 2 shulker boxes using all of the shells I'd gotten and started filling it up with materials I would need for the end. In the nighttime, I was hunting creepers with my looting 3 sword and breaking the 1 block. That's when I noticed exactly what happened to my villagers. You remember that zombie from the other night? Well, I think he infected all of my villagers. I had to kill this iron golem because he was trying to kill my villagers and I just couldn't have that. I then took a nap away from the wall because it wouldn't let me sleep here. Day 94, my zombie villagers were burning because the roof was open and made out of slabs. I started brewing some slow fall potions before I just couldn't take it anymore. The sounds of my villagers dying was awful, so I added a roof above their pit. I continued prepping all of my end raid stuff before breaking the 1 block. I had to reach the end of this phase soon because if I didn't, I would end up not having enough time to reach the end before this video ends. I killed more creepers during the night and mined the 1 block even more. Day 95, I broke some more sugarcane and mined the 1 block even more, until finally, the end had arrived. After writing probably the most poetic poem you've ever heard, that happens to be a single day off, I waited for the 1 block to finish upgrading. We were now on to the after phases. I decided it was finally time for me to tear down the safety bunker. With my island back to how it should be, it felt a lot bigger without the bunker on top. During the night, I tore down the spawning platform and did a little organizing before going to sleep. Day 96, I crafted up a ton of beds and headed into the nether. I still needed to get a couple netherite ingots before I went to the end. I went through and exploded every single bed I had. Even after all of that, I only managed to get another 7 ancient debris, but luckily I still had 3 scrap from earlier, meaning I could craft 2 more ingots. After that, I spent some more time getting organized and finally upgraded my sword and pickaxe because I used them the most. Day 97, I looked into the portal and jumped in. This was it. It was finally time to beat the game and finish this video. I turned on the replay mod, lit the portal, and went through. Upon going through, it was dim and smoky in the air. I splashed myself with some slow falling potions and enderpearled on top of this tower. Once on top, I was able to shoot down most of the end crystals, but had to jump down to avoid the dragon's deadly breath. I towered up to destroy more crystals and now was able to focus on the caged ones. I decided to build up and shoot them instead of shooting them from the bottom for some reason. I threw another potion of slow falling before getting attacked by this enderman. I pearled to the dragon and managed to get some hits off before she flew away. I then began sniping like a Navy SEAL. As the dragon came down once more, I went in for the kill, but she flew away right before it could be done. After a few more sniper shots, she was ready. To show the most disrespect I could, I used my fist to slap her straight to death, before taking a screenshot to flex. Using mending, I was able to completely heal all of my armor and tools, and even grab the dragon egg. I started towering up towards this gateway and built a platform, so I didn't end up falling. Then I threw a pearl into this portal. I immediately chucked a pearl to the other island and ate a golden apple just in case. Now was the really fun part, which was running around looking for an ancient city. I started bridging emerging from the island and landed this sick ender pearl. Wait, no, 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 no. 5,000 likes and I'll make another 100 days video. That's all for me. I really hope you enjoyed this movie, and make sure you subscribe and join my Discord server, please. I'm trying to get to 1,000 members.